Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. From animated classics to monster horrors, crocodiles and alligators are the prehistoric reptiles that pack a nasty bite both in real life and on the big screen. Unfortunately, they've also been used in countless B-movies and lost some of that primal fear that makes them such formidable hunters. In this video, we're counting down our picks for the top 10 best crocodile and alligator movies of all time. Number 10. Black Water.
What was that?
Set in the northern Australian mangrove swamps, Black Water is based on the real-life events of a pregnant woman and her boyfriend and sister who end up the victims of a deadly crocodiles hunt. Due to budget constraints, the production team relied on a combination of practical effects and their own CGI knowledge to create action the viewers were treated to on-screen. The gamble played off as many critics found it to be extremely effective and a refreshing change to the overused CGI effects being used in Hollywood at the time. The film was nominated for multiple Australian awards, winning Best Director and Best Cinematography at the Melbourne Underground Film Festival. Number 9. The Pool. Like many great horrors, The Pool plays on our deepest fears by focusing on realism and putting the viewers in the position of playing out the biggest nightmare vicariously through the actors on screen. This time around, it revolves around a couple who end up trapped in an empty pool that's too deep for them to escape after being drained. Honestly, this will make you second-guess ever relaxing on a floating Lido for fear of falling asleep and ending up in this horrific scenario. To make matters worse, a crocodile enters the pool with them. Less of an action affair like others on this list, The Pool is a tense survival horror in which the couple must battle against the heat, hunger, and a deadly crocodile. This Thai movie was universally praised by critics, achieving a highly respectable 96% on the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes. Number 8. Eaten Alive. An older attempt at the genre before it became a Sci-Fi Channel staple, Eaten Alive sees legendary horror director Tobe Hooper of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame team up with iconic horror actors Carolyn Jones, Morticia Addams, The Addams Family, and Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, A Nightmare on Elm Street, to deliver something altogether bizarre. Set in rural Texas, Hooper does a fantastic job at creating a dark Southern Gothic atmosphere, but unfortunately unnatural dialogue and poor production values prevent the film from being the classic it could have become. While it might pale in comparison to some of today's bloodiest horrors, at the time, the gratuitous violence was highly controversial and landed Eaten Alive on the list of banned video nasties in the UK, per BFI, where it remained for over a decade. Number 7. Crocodile. Although it lacks the ghoulish brilliance of Eaten Alive, director Tobe Hooper's second foray into the killer crocodile subgenre has a cheesy charm that's undeniable. Better than the Sci-Fi Channel movies it occasionally resembles, this film about a group of annoying spring breakers who mess with the wrong giant croc starts off slowly but builds to a decent fiery climax. If you've always wanted to see a crocodile swallow a dude bro whole and then puke him out again, let's face it, who hasn't? This is definitely the movie you've been waiting for. Despite some dodgy CGI effects, Hooper's talent behind the camera shines through. Number 6. Lake Placid.
Swam back up! Maybe not. I just have this feeling everything's totally safe.
For a long time, Lake Placid was the benchmark of movies centered around deadly crocodiles or alligators. Compared to many others of its ilk, it had a fairly large budget estimated at around $30 million and turned over a healthy profit. It also has a surprisingly impressive cast, comprising of Hollywood legends like Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Platt, and Betty White. Admittedly, it received mixed reviews from critics, but has since gained a cult following and has spawned 5 sequels. Not a film that needs a whole lot of brainpower to follow, it's a campy creature feature that focuses on a giant 30-foot saltwater crocodile that terrorizes a local lake in Maine. While some might write it off as just a bit of dumb fun, it does boast an M. Night Shyamalan-worthy twist ending. Number 5. Primeval. Like a reptilian version of The Ghost in the Darkness, this film about a 25-foot man-eating crocodile responsible for killing hundreds of people in the country of Burundi is reportedly based on actual events. Whether that dubious claim is true or not, Primeval is beautifully shot, surprisingly well acted, and mixes African politics with monster-on-the-loose action, resulting in a horror movie that's a good deal better than its reputation might suggest. The savage attack scenes are graphic and bloody, and the scaly beast, named Gustav, hunts his victims like a prehistoric Terminator with a bottomless appetite for flesh. Number 4. Crawl. Crawl is a genuinely terrifying movie set in Florida about a congregation of alligators that hunt a family and their dog during a storm that causes mass flooding. While certainly not for children, it doesn't solely rely on its use of blood and gore. It is certainly action-packed, but it's the palpable sense of tension and suspense that remains constant throughout that makes Crawl so successful in conveying a scenario that for many is far from far-fetched. Produced by Sam Raimi, the film was a huge success financially, especially considering its modest budget. Quentin Tarantino himself has come out as a fan, per IndieWire, and rates it among his favorite movies of 2019. Fans of the movie will be delighted to hear that, with all its critical and commercial success, there have been reports that a sequel is in the works. Number 3. Rogue. Based on the true story of Sweetheart, the giant saltwater crocodile that wreaked havoc in Australia throughout the 70s, like Jaws but with a crocodile, Rogue is a fine example of successfully combining multiple elements of the horror genre and producing something that resonates with audiences. There's violent action-adventure, survival horror, and plenty of suspense. Critics couldn't get enough of the movie upon release, with it receiving universal acclaim. Unfortunately, however, the movie was considered a commercial flop and was unable to recuperate its $25 million budget at the box office. Whatever the reason, it seems a shame that many out there are missing out on this Australian white-knuckle killer croc thrill ride. Number 2. Alligator.
He kept coming up with some garbage about alligators in the sewers.
Alligators in the sewers?
Two-time Oscar-nominated screenwriter John Sayles penned this gruesomely entertaining monster mash about a baby gator named Ramon who gets flushed down a toilet and mutates into a 36-foot behemoth lurking in the Chicago sewer system. When his appetite for human flesh gets the better of him, Ramon bursts through the sidewalk and chows down on a horde of terrified locals. Featuring colorful performances from cult film superstars Robert Forster and Henry Silva, plus witty direction from the ever-dependable Louis Teague, Alligator is more than just the best rampaging reptile movie on this list. It's one of the finest B-movies of the 80s. Number 1. Dark Age. Quentin Tarantino is an avowed fan of this wild exploitation adventure pick about an ecology-minded ranger, played by John Jarratt of Wolf Creek fame, who's tasked with hunting and killing a deadly saltwater crocodile that's been snacking on the citizens of Queensland. Imagine a horror version of Crocodile Dundee, and you might have an idea of what Dark Age has in store for you.